mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah. You know I be on a what? Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah. It's all hard.
What's up, and welcome to another exciting adventure, by the way. I started the other podcast I'm on.
Yeah, with the same tone.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, stop.
Collaborate and listen.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Welcome to another exciting adventure of Ride the Rebellion podcast, the only zero-drop podcast. Is that Aaron?
No, it's the soft member.
You want to put him on the show?
Soft member? Oh, no. I don't think it's appropriate.
I think you should just...
He's
just
probably
coming
got...
hot.
You know that if his voice gets recorded, it probably just goes across. He knows.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it triggers like 26 alarms at the CIA.
I don't want to be on the list that he's on.
back.
Yeah, he's
And
back.
then-
Yeah, he's back. I thought he was dead. It's like
Yeah,
the
they
Born
scrambled him. Get those jets up.
Yeah, the Born Identity.
Yeah. Suddenly Alan's running all over the place.
We blew his whole cover.
Well, welcome to the podcast. If you haven't been here before, we just started with one of the weirdest openings in the world. We talked about some dude soft member, some guy who's got a certain set of skills, and we started saying it was a mountain bike podcast.
This is also how our phone conversations go.
100%. Today on the show, we're just going to talk to you. Good person. Actually, the thing we're going to talk about is where you were with your community and where you are and where you're going and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, because we've been there, going there, and we are there.
Fair enough. And we're still figuring out where we're going.
Right. We have stumbled through it.
I told Sarah that last night. She thought it was hilarious.
Really? Yeah, I think it's great. If you listen to the past podcast, you get the joke.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to talk about that on the show. We're also just going to do our general hangout. But very important news we got to get to at the top of the hour. This guy right here, which I'll introduce correctly here in a second, is back to being a champion. So with that said, I'm Drew, and with me today is the king of the Alabama Turndown and the reigning, defending Ride the Rebellion champion, Dale Boyd of Dale Boyd Sports Management and Cheater Operations.
Cheater Operations. I didn't even keep my own time. Actually, I was thinking about that, and I was like, man, the belt is back at this rightful owner.
Oh, Jesus.
Like,
And Justina's torso.
But I also thought about this, like, you've been so close at every single race.
Do you understand that I've
Like
been second place every single time?
But it's always like you lose by a tiebreaker every time.
Every single time.
Like hundreds.
It literally has gotten to a point when I was riding up the hill, I was riding up and I was thinking to myself, I was like, I've literally lost. I've been a silver medalist.
Right.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Like Vince McMahon couldn't have even written a script this well for that belt.
No.
He couldn't.
It was stupid. I mean, it literally came down to the last ride of the last second possible.
And more importantly, I wasn't even going to race.
Right.
And then I saw how excited everybody was, and I was like, fine, I'll race. In
case you guys don't know, we have a internal community belt, which ties into the part of the show that's become very popular. Mm-hmm. The community belt for us is a WWE championship title. Actually, John still has it. We got to get it back from him. But the belt can change hands. The rule is, as long as there are 5 people, the champion does not have to be one of them.
Nope.
If there are 5 people on property, a race can be declared by a member in good standing. Next thing you know, you got to run a race.
Right.
And Dale won this time. We had like 8 people. It was actually a decent race.
No, it was a good race. Wouldn't it be funny though if we added another wrinkle to it? Like, you can race without the belt holder there, but then when the belt holder comes, then you have to, whoever wins that race has to the one.
Oh, so that's the contender match. Number one contender match.
Yeah. So like he still has the belt, but you could take it's a
or
one
she
or she. Yeah, it's a 1v1 battle to the death.
Didn't Carrie almost win it and she had it stolen?
Yeah, she got third. No, I get them mixed, but no, because she got third. Yeah,
that's when Bug took it.
Yeah, Bug took it.
I don't know if you raced that day.
I didn't race. No, not when Bug took it. This is the first time I've raced for the belt since I had it.
Yeah, I think. Well, no, because technically, oh yeah, right, because the other race was a speed race.
Right.
Yeah, I think the second impromptu race was Bug, me in second place, and I think Carrie in third place. And she was like shocked, but she wasn't that far off on third.
No, she was very close. It was like hundreds for her too. Yeah, it was close.
Do you need to take that?
No, hold on. I just got to reply to him because
if he doesn't reply to the soft member, he'll get blown up.
Yeah, my car's got a detonation device.
While he's doing that, I'll just do a little housekeeping. Sometimes Alan, who's the soft member, has done some real dirty things, but he's not done anything as dirty as going to Dirt Coaster.
What? That's so bad.
DirtCoasterAcademy.com. For all your dirt covered needs. I don't even know what any of that
Or your
means.
bike skill needs.
It's legitimately for your bike skill needs. If you guys, we're joking about it. We say this every time. If you haven't been over there, head over to dirtcoasteracademy.com. Just take the class. Humble yourself to the class. Take the class. It's actually really good. I actually think they're an interesting model that I wish more communities would fund, meaning like just pay Dirt Coaster to show up. The beginner class is totally free. That's what I would have them do, is pay them for the beginner class. There's 12 seats or whatever it is, because your community could benefit like tenfold from that. If you haven't been over there, head over to dirtcoasteracademy.com. Cool idea. I'm sure they'll give you a break, but a cool idea is you get them to show up and you give away first 12 slots, get a free class.
Yeah.
Which I think would be awesome.
That'd be a great way to grow the beginners in your community, or people that just want to increase their skill level.
Mix
or
it up. Mix in some veterans with some newbies.
What we've always done whenever they've come to town is we've made an event around it. So we like, even though people that don't take the class show up and hang out, and we just make it a big party, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah, it always works. They're great for a community booster, and they're super awesome. Speaking of community boosters, did you know that caffeine boosts your energy?
And the best way to get caffeine is through a nice, glorious, fantastico cup of very black Lucky Shot coffee.
That was pretty good. Speaking of very black,
you can get
the darkest black tattoo you've ever seen. I don't know what. Ooh, in the darkness of night. I mean, he's like Batman for tattoos.
Blackie, the Barbarian.
We rode with. It was so fun to ride with. Kevin was in that race.
Yeah, Kevin was in the race.
You beat him by speed.
I did. He was pushing too.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Take it.
I'll take it.
Because we've seen how Kevy, like when Kevy turns it on, he can really go. It still popped up. Now it's become a small clip. Yes, I heard you. It's going to be a small clip inside of some other social content, but the concept of if a video for somebody else I do business with reaches 10 million views, I have to get a tattoo of no regrets on my arm, which I'm going to go to Kevin for. Because I think I would really love nothing more than to prank Kevin with the most wasted amount of his. Excuse me, sir. Could you please waste your talent on my arm, please?
Yeah, but it'd be even better if you let your daughters write it and you got it in their handwriting.
Yeah, that's even more awesome.
But Daddy, it's spelled wrong.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's just so Alabama father type thing. It's like, that's your kid's handwriting? Oh, that's my daughter. She's also my girlfriend. No regrets. Roll Tide. We coming out of the gate strong. Speaking of coming out of the gate strong, you want to be fast at your next race. There's no better place to be than run and try. Run and try and follow up that segue.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you just went the Roll Tide route, not me for once. Like, I'm already treading on thin ice down here as a Yankee anyways.
It's not even that. It's because you're an Ohio State fan.
Well,
sir.
I mean, everybody hates champions.
We'll tolerate your Yankiness, but I don't know how much we'll tolerate. And my favorite is when you just roll up and proudly roll out that Ohio State tent.
Oh, dude, it's
just
good.
a flex.
It is a flex, and
Yeah.
people
I have
hate
a tough
it
time standing underneath it. I start to burn a
until
little
it starts raining, and everybody's like, "Oh, this tent's so good."
bit. I don't know if that's true, but I'll go with it.
It gets really intense.
Your tent gets. You are just dad joking it up. I wonder if the click clacks of your typing are going to be in the background.
Hopefully. Oh, I'm going to use your silent laptop.
She went to her silent keyboard up there.
Come on, producer extraordinaire.
Yeah, so we're joking about we're making fun and having a good time with the sponsors of the show because they're part of our community.
Yeah.
They're part of our club, and we
I
can't
actually
do that.
asked somebody was like, I said, did you listen to the pod? And they were like, oh yeah, but I haven't got through the sponsor section yet. I'm like you haven't got through it, like you turned it off because of that? Or they're like, no, I listen to it every time because that's the funniest part. Like, you guys just go free ball on your sponsors. I was like, they get free balled quite well.
We don't have a choice. No one wants to listen to commercials, but it does take commercials and some kind of revenue to keep this going. Not that Dale and I are trying to get rich, because I assure you, there ain't no money in this game. So if you've bought T-shirts from us, that's awesome. Thank you for going over to ridetherebellion.com where you can get your favorite T-shirts. And it does benefit us. But the other side of things is there's been we wanted to introduce something new, and what we want to introduce is that if you head over to the website, what's the deal there?
Yeah, if you head over to the right, we didn't do a shirt this week. I ran out of time traveling, stuff like that. But if you run over to the ridetherebellion.com website and pick up a shirt, we'll know that you ordered it, and you'll be put into a drawing for something.
I think
Maybe
we'll
some
just
money.
give you your money back.
Yeah, we'll give you your money back. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty big. You get a free shirt and your money back.
That's right. I'm in.
That's pretty solid.
That is solid.
Yeah, so head over to ridetherebellion.com, get your shirt. There's a ton of designs, by the way. Now, you won't be getting a limited edition shirt. This will be a standard edition.
Right.
But they're a little more expensive over there, so you might want to jump in.
Yeah, and you could get your money back, so you may as well. You could
That's
be
what I'm
one of
saying.
one.
Yeah.
Hopefully not, but
Yeah.
if you are, your odds are good.
I mean, if somebody buys any of those shirts, they're so rare. I mean, they're print on demand, so we don't,
No, I
they're
mean,
limited.
if only you go and order it,
Yeah.
then you're the only one. You're getting your money
Yeah,
back.
for a while. Yeah.
And no one will know until
No
we
one
do
will
the
know.
drawing.
There's actually a pretty rad season 2 inspired tank top.
Yeah,
I
it's
bought
pretty
one.
sweet.
I just really felt like
just
after
want-
you wore one, you said it was so comfortable. And then who started that? Was it Darden that started that? Philip Darden?
Yeah, I think Darden told us about
Yeah.
the tanks. Yeah,
And now I'm kind of all into the tank.
dude, it is a weird like sensation for those of you that are struggling with the heat. Whenever your shoulders get the air, all the air,
Yeah.
like it's just weird and it's awesome.
I'm
and then I just take my shirt off and everybody throws up and I beat them.
I don't know about any of these things. So we had a kind of, or you actually initiated a conversation about the community. So sometimes we go back and listen to the old shows to
Yeah.
see, like, we're thinking about clips or, like it's not always just a straightforward push through. So sometimes we have to go back and listen to clips. So we've been listening to clips. You went back and listened to, it's Harsh Bro.
Yeah.
And it got you kind of think. What was your takeaway from going back to that? What was the whole?
So the irony is we recorded it at the same time last year. So I was like, let's see how I felt then to now. And I thought what was cool is we have similar feelings, but I feel like we're a little bit more upbeat about it. Like the community as a whole has kept us more engaged than last year. Like there was a lot of rides you and I did by ourselves.
Yeah.
Now it's like other people are asking, hey, when are we riding? Are we going to ride? This and that. And it's like they want to endure the heat with us. And that's really cool. There was some other stuff that happened that we talked about on the pod that wasn't happening then, that we didn't really do anything to make it happen, but it has happened like organically or whatever, which is really, really cool. So
yeah, it triggered off a conversation of us talking about this idea of like where the community, what we've seen shift. And it was, for me, what I thought was interesting was a reminder of like, it's a patience game that we're really playing. Cause like if I remember, if I go back to when I first started riding, and then, like I know Alan was dealing with stuff, or soft member. I know that you were dealing with stuff. Y'all were frustrated. There was things. It was a changeover. I didn't know any of this stuff.
Yeah.
But the community, it wasn't that the community was broken. It's that the community had shifted.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something people have to keep in mind. That shift took a long time to like not recover, but to settle. Mm-hmm. So it's as if like, all right, everything shifted. We shook it all out, and now it's just got to settle down a pinch. And it did. And I would say that it shifted again since then.
yeah.
In a better way, which is a weird conversation to have, but it's also like figuring out how to manage the community that I think is the other side of this. That is not like Philip sat up here and said some great stuff, and I appreciate every second of it. But I also think that one thing that wasn't talked about is like managing your community. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother beast, and it's a nightmare in some ways.
And one thing that we don't have that most mountain bike communities start with is amazing trails.
Yeah.
Right? Or a great trails network, or that's what they have to begin with. We didn't have great trails to start with, right? Like that's the rebellion. We created something. So what you can do though is like, don't go out to try to start a community, and don't go, we're not experts, but we've been through the trenches a little bit in it. Don't go out and want all the things at once. Yeah. Like it's going to be really hard to not, because you look at social media and everybody has all the things. You don't know what happened to get to those things, or like we're saying we didn't have nice trails. We don't know what happened to get to those nice trails. Like we don't know who stood on top of the van getting shot down by people, naysayers. You know what I mean? Like there had to be somebody that stood up and said, let's get this done. And other people saying, no, for 30 years we've been riding this goat trail. Like it's fine. So I'm not saying like maybe we are a catalyst to somebody else that gets better trails done. I'm cool with that. Like I would love to know that we started something that got something greater done in the future, but even if we bow out to some point, like like you say, Ragnarok's going to happen to us.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've adopted that saying now too, since you said it. It's like one day we're going to be like, I just want to ride my bike.
Right.
Like I love the community and I love everybody, but I'd rather just go ride.
Yeah, I mean, there's a point. There's a point in which there's days where I just want to go ride my bike, and that's what I use South for. Like our local, like most simplistic
Vanilla. Let's call it vanilla.
Vanilla is a better word, because it's got some flavor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not flavorless.
It's like Neapolitan.
I don't even know if I call it Neapolitan.
Well, occasionally, maybe 2 flavors.
Maybe 2 flavors.
Occasionally, you'll have.
It is not even close to
Rocky
Rocky Road. No way. That is Chase Country stuff.
Yeah, because Rocky Road, occasionally you'll get a spoonful of something you weren't ready for. That ain't happening at South.
No. You know it exactly. I would say it's like a scoop of vanilla. I wouldn't even say chocolate. It's like a scoop of one type of vanilla and a scoop of another. It's like one brand of Bluebell vanilla and one brand of like store-bought vanilla.
Yeah, or like a chestnut vanilla.
Yeah.
Maybe. Like
Yeah.
something
that's completely offset and you're like, oh, this is fine.
Hey, that tasted funny.
Yeah. I don't. But those trails are good for that. Like I just need to go get my pedals in.
But they're also really good for community growth, right? Because beginners can go there and we can nurture the beginners through those trails.
Well, it's like Justina. She used to ride in the beginners trails.
Yeah.
So she rode Blakely.
I think I put a post out recently about like the group rides that we have locally. And I tried to like encourage everybody to go to South. We have 2 different types of rides and they end up being very similar. They're not different. But then the ride on Sunday, it was like...
hold on though. I'm going to preface this.
They're led differently.
They are differently. Here's why. Like, if somebody were to show up to a Tuesday night ride and Dale Boyd of Dale Boyd Sports Management was tasked with leading it, and they wanted to flex a little bit.
Oh, they're getting...
Right. Carrie is like, I don't give a fuck. Mm-hmm. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
That's true.
I'm going to ride the way I want to ride.
Yeah.
Like, Carrie's ride is the most chill party pace. Yeah. Just come hang out. You're just basically like hanging out on bikes. Mm-hmm. And it gets aggressive. It can get as aggressive as you want,
right.
But it's way more laid back than the. At the same time, that's only if someone flexes. So
yeah, somebody flexes and rubs their tire on mine.
But the other side of it,
igniting.
The other side of it is, I haven't seen you go through and like, I haven't seen you purposely drop anyone in a long time, and so even if someone flexes, it's just like whatever, just moving on. It's more a matter of like, if you guys start racing, because then you will sit there and wait. And you'll make that person who wanted to go super fast wait even longer. So the rest of the group, if we're lagging behind, then they're waiting for 5 to 8 minutes as opposed to.
And I kind of laugh about that internally. I'm glad you picked up on it. Maybe you did or not. But like sometimes people do that. They do try to like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. I've been riding. Like, okay, well, you're on my tire. I'm going to just push it a couple notches and see if you're going to stay on my tire. And they do usually. Right. And then I'll like go really fast. But then I like get a kick out of like, because I'll stop. Be like, hey, we're waiting. You did this. Like we could have stayed with the whole group. Right. Like I'm perfectly content with it. You did this to us. Like we are going to wait longer because you wanted to flex on me.
Well, that's because it's a 0-drop ride scenario, right?
Right.
And so it's one of those things about in the community side of it. It's what we keep going back and forth and having this same conversation is. You're right. That trail system is good. So you do need a vanilla trail system, and maybe the vanilla trail system is good to have a group ride on every once in a while. If not regularly, in the case of here, because there's so many closed scenarios, we don't have a choice. So great, go ride the vanilla. Yeah. But then the same thing happens. Like for us, we have a internal group ride for the Reb. So we have this, most of but like we have not a private in the sense of snobbery private in the sense of legal. What's the word I'm looking for? The protection reasons. But then we have that. But we have group rides there.
Liability
we have an F&L, liability. Thank you. We have an F&L. We have a Friday Night Lights ride that is our private sort of vibe. And then we have Dirt Church on Sunday mornings. And used to be, now that he's super healthy, we'll see what happens. But it used to be you'd get a Todd Hall ride. You could just call him and be like, going out to the Reb, he'd like, I'll be there in 10 minutes. Yeah. And like he'd show up. So out there's a lot more people riding. But it's a different community vibe. Right. It's a small, because it's a microcosm. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. But you get the weirdos to show up on FNL, and you get the even weirder people to show up on Dirt Church.
Yeah, that's true. You actually get the vanilla people, the people that come for vanilla, and you find out they like hot fudge, and you're like, "Oh, come with Daddy. Yeah. Get in the van. Let me show you something."
Yeah. Okay. All right.
This is why no girls ride with us. I'm like I'm learning. But so like for those people that are trying to grow a community,
Yeah.
I know some people have reached out like, hey, we have a community very similar to y'all's. And I think it's awesome to hear. That was something else we talked about, is like, let's develop a sweet network of our type of communities.
Right.
Like, that'd be so rad. And you're like, yeah, let's make a Facebook group. And then I think even in there, you're like, oh, we don't need another group. Like you said that actually.
Oh, right.
Like you quote, like, we don't need to manage another group. Well, here we are. Like, it's working, like we did it without consciously making that decision to do it. And like just going to Dothan and meeting the Gold Chain Mafia, those dudes, like they're now supporting us, and that's awesome. And they're spurred, like our energy spurs that energy, right? Because they're from a similar place.
At the same time, though, we turn around and support them. It's the same vibe, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's the balancing act, is finding, to your point, I guess, is sharing that energy, sharing the stoke across communities.
Well, and I think that we even talked about, you mentioned a bunch of times, you're like, dude, what if we could grow rebellions all over the country? And it's like, oh, wait, we're finding out there are those type of groups all over the country. And now that our growth is growing, we're meeting those people, and it's now become our energy, right? It helps our personal community grow.
Yeah, for sure.
Because our energy is our personal community's energy. So like sometimes I wonder, what if we just don't show up one time? What's going to happen?
I don't know. I think somebody would rise up at some point. I mean, it wouldn't be Jakey Poo.
No.
That dude doesn't give a foo.
No, because I mean, I met Jake years ago before anything happened, and he was just going on his own pace, doing his own thing anyways. So
he
rides on
is
his own
happy
track.
to be on his own scenario.
But he do.
forever.
I think he is.
He wants community.
Yeah, he's embraced the community
Yeah.
more and more and more. Because remember, we laughed about this, and this is a story about us, but it could be from your community too. Because I know everybody has similar characters in all their communities. But he wanted to build stuff that no one could ride but him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Only him. Like.
Yeah.
And I mean, other people can ride it, but he was like, I don't care about other people. I don't care about their feelings. I don't care about if they don't want to do it, then they can't do it. And no dig, no ride. And like that whole mentality. He's not like that at all anymore.
Right.
Now he's like, well, dude, we got to put like a case pad. We got to make a tabletop. Like everybody's got to be able to ride it. Like it'd be more fun. And I'm like, oh, really?
Because what happens though is that when you see somebody start progressing, or you see somebody get better, or you see somebody overcome fear, or you just see somebody having fun,
Right.
and you built it, and you realize like, wait a second, I'm contributing to, like, it's not just my fun anymore. The joy of all these other people, that's fantastic, right? It's still scary when someone gets hurt. There's no doubt. But like the joy of seeing other people thrive, come on, man. That's what everybody wants. But that's what the community should be. I think the biggest fallacy that I think there's two about us, the Reb, not our attachment to Samba.
Right.
Like thinking back to that same episode. The biggest fallacy is that now, because I can't say what it was then, but what it is now is, did we pull away, like Philip brought it up, everybody's brought it up because they've listened to old episodes. Did we pull away from our local chapter? Kinda. Not 100%. Right. We just decided that there was things we wanted to do that our local couldn't provide. So we did them on our own, and that's what we did. But then what ended up happening was we identified, I think it's in that episode or one subsequently after, there's like, man, the local chapter is the same as us. We're the same part of it. We're just an extension of it. So then all of a sudden it became where the Reb was a literally super strict private bike park scenario. Then it was like, we just started inviting people. Like if you go to enough Tuesday night rides, you end up getting invited,
Right.
at least to ride one time. And then most people come out there and like, this is incredible. And they stick. So what started as being something about our community, like finding our own, quickly became very evident that what we need to do is actually work with the community be part of the community, regardless of it. So to all the rebellions out there, all the other sub-tribes, you got to remember, like, you don't shit on their community.
And don't alienate yourselves.
Right.
Because what we've discovered is our drug is sharing our passion.
Yep.
Right? Because it's cured our emotional distress, our physical distress, so we want other people to feel that. It'd be like we're the heroin dealers of the bike industry, right?
Yeah,
like
for
we
sure.
want to deal that drug that we are feeling in the woods, whether it's adrenaline or the endorphins that you get from friendship or the beers.
Yeah. Or even the spirit of competition.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've talked about it before, how the entire setup that we have, like even the racing format we have, still has, like, we have not had this particular incident where you won the belt.
Right.
But it is officially now official statement. It can't be changed that, if you guys know what it is, it's a community driven racing program. And the way it works is that everybody's on the same page and you run the same course 3 times. So don't make it the first leg of, bother. bump and grind. That was the longest leg. You would die.
4 minutes.
4 minute leg.
Well, no, it was like 2.2 miles.
Yeah,
so
it
it
was
was
something
longer than 4
ridiculous.
minutes.
But don't make it that one. But you're gonna make it. You could make it tails.
Yeah, yeah.
But you run the same path 3 times. You average your best time, or you take your best time, the difference of your best time out of it, which is exactly what they're doing in downhill now. It's like the quali or to the semi to the final, and you're getting points. Think of it that way. Anyway, that community level of racing made it where everybody was on the same field and could do it. Well, this past time, because competition is a part of who we are, this past time, the fact that you went faster won.
Right.
Because we tied.
Right.
But the fact that you went faster won. So you were faster and more consistent. That flipped the whole script over.
Mm-hmm. It really did.
So now it could be about speed, which has always been a challenge that you wanted. You could argue, I'd argue that Dale rode harder than anybody because he rode as fast as he possibly could 3 times in a row and timed out.
Mm-hmm.
That means that Dale like crushed it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like the concept of competition or having community-based competition, I don't even know if it's all, I'm not anti-class, but I don't even know if you always need the class system.
Right.
Right? It's just as soon as you do that, you're like, well, I'm up here, you're down. I get it in a big race, in a qualified big race, but finding ways to draw your community together so that they feel they may not be the same level rider. Don't take them down fucking stupid shit.
Right.
But you can still have community events where they are on the same page as everybody else, and it does make it feel more communal.
But I think that's what we've done with, because this is our passion.
Yeah.
Like I hope that people can tell that there's no ulterior motive that we have. You know what I'm saying? Like they come and follow us wherever we're going to go because we're just showing them fun.
Right.
You know, like
or in some ways we're a mirror.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah, because whatever they don't feel is like whenever we're showing people something, we're getting more out of it than they are.
Yeah.
Like usually.
Yeah. I mean, we take away a lot of stuff. I mean, I think I look at like all the places we've been and the exciting side of it.
Yeah.
The common denominator is, for some weird reason, because and Dale does too, we value the community so much that the stoke that comes with us, I've seen it happen where, like when I was at V Hollow, it was me and Mr. Pickles. And Mr. Pickles isn't a hardcore rider. He's a rider. He's not like going to send anything crazy.
Right.
But because we were there and our energy was so high and I was repping Reb and I was all happy, I got my jersey on, and the guy asked about it and we're talking about it. And he's like, that's awesome. The energy from me talking about it goes to him. The stoke from me goes to him and it transfers. And so then all of a sudden that guy has a spark. He may never mention us or the podcast again.
Right.
But if I helped stoke somebody to like go out and ride and have a good time or have a memory moment, whatever, come on, man. You're making the world a better place. That's simple shit.
Yeah. And I think that's what we're saying with, if you're trying to grow a community from nothing, or you're trying to create a different environment in your community, you can do it.
Yeah.
Just make sure your motives are correct.
Yep.
You don't want it all at once, like baby steps.
Yep.
And try things. And some stuff's going to fail. You're going to get some flack. People aren't going to like it. They don't like change. They're going to call you names. They're going to say stuff about you. They're going to do whatever, but stay on the bus.
Yeah.
The bus
there's
will gain momentum.
There's a quote. I don't remember which old timey president it came from, but its comparison is the thief of joy.
Oh yeah. I've heard that one.
I think it was on Rogan or something.
Did you see the quote that was on our threads? Oh, it said, just enjoy the ride. George Washington said that.
Did he really?
No, probably. That's what I put on threads.
It's fantastic. But my point is,
I thought you were doing that. I thought
no, but the comparison thing is
No,
legit.
it's
Like
true.
if you think about it, like
Yeah.
we talk about this all the time on this show. If you are comparing yourself to what they have, or if we compared ourselves to Pink Bike,
Yes.
we would feel like shit. We'd
Right.
be like, oh, we're never going to be as good as those guys. They get to go to Sea Otter and do all that stupid shit. The reality of it is we're our own thing. And as
Yeah.
soon as you identify that you're your own thing, you stop comparing that stuff and you just go. That's not to say that competition which is also comparison to some matter. Competition is healthy, but there's a definitive ending to
Right.
it. So it's kind of like finding a way to like, I don't know, don't compare yourself in such a way of, I'm an elite athlete. No, you ain't, bro.
Right. No.
Not knocking you, but you ain't there yet.
We're middle-aged white men.
We're just
Usually.
a guy riding our bikes.
Right.
And at the end of the day, the elite athlete, if you're an elite athlete, there is no comparison because you're already riding in,
Right.
you know,
And
léger.
I've thought about this too, now that we've met some people in the industry, they're all just like us. They just live in different spots.
That's
Even those
correct.
pink bike dudes are probably just like us.
Right.
Behind, not from like on the other side of the mic, riding bikes in the woods.
Oh, sure.
They're probably just
Well,
like
the
us.
Mahalo guys. I mean, the
Yeah,
IFT.
a lot of
whatever the
those
films
guys are.
They're filmmakers. It's like literally you and I. One of them's a
Right.
gaffer. One of them's an AC. They ride their bikes in the woods and they film
Yeah.
cool shit. Well, if someone gave us a little more money, hint at the Patreon,
Yeah,
we
You
would
guys-
give you cool bike videos.
Actually, this is another side tangent. We're getting a little sappy on this podcast, but
It is what it is.
I like it. This is now our therapy sessions. But somebody told me the other day that I should start an OnlyFans of me like doing laundry and cleaning.
I think
How good it would be.
That's a fantasy to women, maybe.
Yeah, show girls how clean my sink is. I polish it regularly.
That may be, Justine, would that be an OnlyFan to you if you were a woman?
Well,
You like a real dirty, a woman who just dirties up a house and just leaves hair everywhere when she shaves her nose hair?
No, for many of those.
no.
The
She
other-
said no.
Yeah, in the other room. That was delightful.
He would.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is if I start doing that, then I'm like locking myself into actually having to do those chores, and then Casey won't do any of them.
All right.
So it's like, why is the sink not polished? Don't you have an episode this week? Like, sorry, damn.
I found it amazing that I find it amazing and insane. Like I'll see somebody pop across and I'll be like, whether it's an attractive woman, female, it doesn't matter, or a male, it doesn't matter what it is. I'll just see somebody and I'll again, my algorithm's jacked, so I'm living into it.
Mm-hmm.
Or it'll be, I've had a couple where it was just like, oh, that person, it wasn't a bike rider, but they might do something like, oh, they're a gamer or whatever. And then sure enough, I see something that pops up in my Instagram like, oh, there's that gamer chick or that gamer guy or whatever. And there is like a link tree thing. And I'm like, there's no way. And I click it and they literally are an OnlyFans. And I'm like, everybody is doing an OnlyFans thing. Like we're all literally going to sell our souls out and be like, hey, here's me naked for $50
No, I'm gonna.
a year.
Yeah, okay, I'm in.
$20 is $20.
I mean, like, hey, check out my toe web on my toes. Like, people do that stuff. They're weird, man.
Well, I know I've told those stories like where there was like Google ads for a guy in Missouri wanted a woman to come pop balloons in front of him, fully dressed, between her legs, just pop a balloon, pop. And then another one was they would buy exotic bugs and the girl would step on them
All right, I'm
for
in.
money.
We got tons of those in the woods.
Craigslist, that's where they were. On
Oh,
Craigslist.
Craigslist, yeah.
That's where I found most of my dates. I mean, that's where Sarah came from, my wife. Found her on Craigslist. I just put on an ad that just said "must love Jews."
See,
He has a
Todd
degree
did-
in Holocaust history.
the Todd didn't respond.
No, he didn't.
So he does not. He loves Jews. All of Jews.
Juice.
All of Jews.
All the juice.
So
This
we
dude-
stumbled.
this
We
derailed.
stumbled into
Yeah,
a
stumbled into
dating
something
app.
great.
That's right. So, any other community tips? Just the tips.
No, but I do think though that if I look back on it, it's the stuff that we've talked about, like when Justine was on the podcast, and we talked about like, don't be creepy.
Yeah,
That's a basic one. But
really.
like, I do think you have to consider if you want to make your community like extremely limited, that's great. But don't flex on other people, because
Right.
as soon as you make a community where you flex on someone, you're literally destroying the entire idea of the community. You're tearing it apart. Like that's if you're gonna drop people, like go on a ride just to drop them, just ride by yourself.
Right.
Like you're not adding anything. At the
Actually-
end of the day, there's a group of us that are gonna be like, look at this doofus. He's got to, or she has got to go so fast they can't even like. That's dumb.
Right. Actually, to that point, I almost wore a shirt that I designed a long time ago. I know that it was back when COVID was going on because the bug was closed and we were still allowed to ride there back when that was a thing.
Yeah.
But it says "Don't be a click" on it instead of
that's
"Don't
pretty
be a
good.
dick," and
Yeah.
it was like that was the thing. It was like we are a clique that's not a clique. You know,
Yeah.
like we wanted everybody else. You know, a clique is a group of people that's exclusive and doesn't want other people to join. But we didn't. We wanted everybody to join with us.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of times when you have a large group, and this is something else if you're growing your community, if you have a large group of people in a parking lot, it'll be very intimidating for other people to come approach you.
Oh, for sure.
So invite those people or say something to them, or, you can kind of tell they want to talk to. Some people don't. Some people just, hey, they'll get on their bike and roll just so they can avoid eye contact. But a lot of times if you're showing up at a parking lot and there's a bunch of people, it's because there's a scheduled group ride or there's a scheduled something. So engage in those other people, find out who they are, find out if they need help, find out if they just want to know what map to look at. Don't be afraid to talk to other people. It's really not that hard.
That's actually some people may have that anxiety, but a good community, you got to find somebody who will talk to other people, even if that person's a liar, like Dirty Uncle Chase. I think he's very, very reserved in his normal life, but because he has to run that, Chase seems extroverted, but I think he's pretty chill. I think he's more like laid back than I think he's maybe knocking on introversion, maybe. But he seems extremely extroverted. That's because he assumed that leadership role and he was like, well, I'm stepping up to do it. But even he has guys, Reagan, that are like out there. Isn't it Reagan? Who's the one that had the Will. Good Jesus. He is hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, Will is just like, it's like having a stand-up comic on payroll. Like he's really funny.
Was so funny.
But he has Will that he can utilize for that same thing. It's just making sure that if you're in that space, you have a voice. You're going to have to talk to people. Don't assume that if you're not comfortable doing it. That's another side of it. If you don't like talking, then find somebody who does.
Yeah.
I think that's what the soft member did.
That's what I was going to say is the soft member has been really good at putting the right people in seats that need to be filled, right?
Oh, for sure.
I've learned that from him where it's like, you're going to burn yourself out if you try to do it all yourself.
Oh, 100%.
So try to find some people that'll do it with you, not for you, but with you.
Yeah.
And you guys are you have the same directory or the same trajectory.
Yeah.
So if you're on the same bus, you go in the same direction.
Oh yeah.
So you may as well. There's another thing about community stuff is don't get discouraged by criticism. Or
you're going to get a lot of it.
You're going to get a lot of it. And I bitch about it weekly, right? With the Samba stuff. Because we have people coming out of the woodwork that we've never heard of that want to complain about stuff that they don't know about.
Right.
And it's like, hi, who are you?
Right.
Like, welcome to the party. You're going to complain about what beer we're serving?
But part of that, what we've talked about, though, is making sure that we've set up scenarios in place, like on the Facebook page and all this stuff, to prevent that. So then all of a sudden it's like, oh, if you want to, you're welcome. We accept all bitching and all complaints if you're a paying member.
Right.
Because then all of a sudden it's like, we got your dues.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Right.
But if you're just some flash in the pan that's popping up on a member page, and I think that's the side of it, is you have to realize that community. So to some extent, you have to have that external wall. If you're something like Samba, that's an organized community,
yes.
You got to have that external approach, but you got to have a wall, right? That then protects it from. If they're inside, they can say whatever. They've got a right to have the voice.
Exactly.
But on the outside, they're not ruining that reputation. The other side of it too is knowing when to. There's a Seth Godin book called The Cliff. Is it called The Cliff? Justine? The Dip. It's called The Dip, which is this concept of like, it's basically, you could sum it up with Kenny Rogers, know when to hold them, know when to fold them. Same idea, except like there's things that are cliffs, there are things that are dips, and there's things that are hills, and you have to identify those. And so sometimes if your community literally has gone off a cliff and it's gone to garbage, then stop. Don't go any further. Don't keep going downhill. Reverse, back up, and figure out how to do it a different way. I don't think that probably happens very often, but it could.
Yeah, no, for sure. And don't be afraid to take what's already established and make it better.
That's a bigger key,
right?
Yeah.
Like maybe somebody's down that cliff.
Yep.
And they're looking for a life preserver to get back up.
Right.
They don't know how to reverse.
Right.
They're too proud to say, hey, help me.
Right.
Maybe you could step in. We're not saying go screw your IMBA chapter or your Sorba chapter.
No.
We're saying be a part of everything that's in the community.
Right.
You don't have to start from scratch. You can build off what's already there. It's okay if you have different interests than the current chapter, because you can kind of go in and you
realize,
can mold it.
But also identify this. So I created a series of content I was actually pretty happy with. Created this content. I entered it into the AAF Awards.
Are you flashing?
Yeah, it's flickery. I don't know what that's about. Yep. So I joined, or I put a bunch of content into the American. Is it doing it?
Nope.
All right. I put a bunch of content into the AAF Awards, which is the American Advertising. Man, we are falling apart over here, folks. American Advertising Film Awards. And so I put it in there. I put this whole big series of commercials in there. I was very proud of them. A lot of hard work went into it. Very emotional. It was good stuff. And we're at the show. I mean, this is I'm all surrounded by some of them are other agencies. I mean, it's my peers, basically,
Right.
work peers. And we're at the show, and what beats me is a guy. I mean, shout out to him. He rides bikes with us. He's part of Samba. But what beat our stuff was a guy who made a commercial for a trailer park, and he either copied or rewrote lyrics or whatever for Old Town Road. And so I have it wins. It beats all the video in the place. And Blake did it.
Yeah.
And so shout out to Blake.
I
Good
saw
job.
Blake Saturday.
Great
Biking
guy.
back up.
Super good dude. And Blake wins. Well, all the creatives know that, because we had been Kings of the Hill for a long time, and they all just turn their heads and they're all looking at me. And I'm just sitting there like, man. And so I was pissed off, but I wasn't just pissed off at that. I was pissed off at the year before. I put in something for a demo reel, and they basically said nobody else entered. So it should have been a surefire win.
Right.
It's like being
Yeah.
in the only category, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's not what they did. They said you didn't win. And I was like, well, wait a second. So what you're saying is nothing. Literally, the absence of creativity is more creative than what we put in, right? And our reels are pretty solid. We've been known to have them. Mm-hmm. I say all this to say, so I was pissed, and I've been carrying that frustration. I keep entering it. And one day I was out there, and I was really mad. And this guy named Brent Pope, great human being. He quit the industry. He runs a medical company. Good for him. He's a genius. He got out of the business. He's like a stripper that made it off the pole. He turned to me and was like, well, then why don't you go run for AAF? Why don't you become part of the board? And I was like,
Yeah.
you're right. I'm going to complain about it all day. I'm going to be upset. I'm going to voice that. I'm going to say those things. But in reality, I'm not prepared to actually do something. So I say that to say, keep also in mind that you're going to say all these things. People are going to do stuff. And the reality of it is it's very few people that actually are going to execute on that stuff
Right.
that are really going to take the additional steps. The free labor that you've done is ridiculous. The amount of labor Alan's done is ridiculous. The groups that come up and help are great, but they're not seeing the day-to-day stuff that you guys are doing.
Right.
So the reality of it is you have to, Philip said the same thing, but you have to realize that if you're really, you can bitch all you want, but if you really want to make change, run for office, go for it.
Right.
Show it, get on the board, whatever their charter
It's
is, you get into
100%
the
true.
charter of it.
I always say that. I don't remember who has the real quote. I'm sure there's some, maybe Kid Rock or something, but it was like, I always say everybody wants to do mountain bike shit till it's time to do mountain bike shit, right? Yeah. Everybody wants to talk about let's do this and let's do this and let's do this. And then when it comes down to it, it's like, well, let's do it. And
Right.
then they're like, wait, you mean let's like us? No, they want someone else to do it.
Right.
But you got to be willing to say, fine, I'll do it, but you're going to help me, or
Right.
I'll do it, but you're going to show up. And that's that. Even to I've bitched about it, I've bitched about trying to organize things and no one's showing up. But this is the other thing in your community. Actually, did you hit that record right there?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just making sure. One other thing in the
What do you think, I'm an
community.
amateur, I've missed it 5 times.
Yeah. Be consistent
Yeah.
with whatever you're going to do.
Yep.
Whatever decision you make sure that it's the same decision for everyone, or whatever. If you're going to have a group ride, make sure it's all the time at that time, because the one time somebody shows up that it's not that time, they'll never come back.
Yeah, we've seen some of those things happen.
Right.
People
And
getting confused.
You also get what you allow. So this is for anybody, parenting, coaching, life, the way you're treated, you're going to get whatever you allow somebody to do. So say that you let somebody make fun of you, other people are going to make fun of you.
Yep.
If it's your close friend, whatever, but they're going to pick up on that cue and they're going to be like, oh, he likes getting made fun of, so I'm going to make fun of him.
Yep.
So you're going to get what you allow one person to do, everyone's going to do it to you. So just remember that, and don't be mad when something happens like that, right? Because it's going to. And don't, this is my last tangent thing, because I'm actually talking to myself with all these things, but don't be quick to act on something before you think about it. It's that whole if you're mad, write it down, put it on paper, and pull it back out. I tend to respond too quick to things on Facebook sometimes, where I could just be like, just relax. Because sometimes I'll be like, back up for a minute, and I'll be like, damn, it really wasn't worth it. This guy's not worth my time, energy, thought process, any of it. I don't argue on Facebook, but just responding to stupid
It
comments.
sure is tempting, though.
Oh my God, it's so tempting. Sometimes I'm like,
He made it into the show.
what moral standard am I going to destroy if I just light this person up?
No, I know. And like I've said before, I've talked about on this show, I have one Facebook win to my name. I'm very proud of it. I got a trophy for it. Justina was there. But you're not going to win that argument, so it's a waste of time anyway.
You're not.
I think at the end of the day, I've said this a lot. I've really been inspired to do this myself. I said it, and then I didn't realize what I said, and now I've been trying it. If we all tried to be just per day 1% friendlier, just 1%. Think about how small that is. That's like a little bitty thing, but 1% friendlier. So you're going to ride your bike. You don't feel like riding with others. That's cool. You know what you can do to be friendly about it? Be like, hey, I just kind of need to ride by myself. I don't think anybody there, if you say it nice, is not going to be a butthole about it. Or maybe you want to ride with some other people and you see, and someone's over there offering just that little 1% of being more friendly, friendlier, is going to go a long way to changing everything. I guarantee it, because it's suddenly like, man, you don't know what the other person's been through that day.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's just a small little thing, especially because so many of us use exercise, as we've talked about, to cope with different things, like DJ said last week. It's that kind of vibe.
Well, because I think when you see notice that somebody notices you, because we're so self-consumed, social media has made us all like the world revolves around us, right? Because you're in your phone all day. All you see is everything tailor-made for you. So when you see somebody else that notices you, it's kind of like, oh, wait, I am a person outside of my persona, right? So that's feels good, and we miss that. We long for that feeling, like we don't get that feeling anymore. Maybe from our spouses and our kids, of course, but some spouses, Casey, waiting for that affection. But
Gotta pay for it.
Gotta pay for it. Dishes. Damn it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm with you.
But I mean, I think it's something that we're trying to like teach people, because we have to teach them. We're teaching people about how to be a community, and every community, whether it's biking or disc golf or Lego creations or Star Wars fans, they all have the same type of people. But they all have the same type of people, and you have to juggle those personalities. Because you're trying to make sure that everybody's personality fits on a bike or on a Star Wars thing or on a Lego set. Like, you have to figure out how it works, and sometimes it doesn't, right? Sometimes that personality just doesn't jive, and guess what? The bus is going to keep rolling. They might get on the bus and change their personality, or they might get dropped off.
And like I said, that 1% friendliness, that little moment of just adding LY to it could change everything anyway and unlock the code. That's like, man, that person was just been shit on their whole life.
Exactly.
And that 1% of niceness just gave them a chance to,
it's
say
hard.
Shit.
It's so hard though, right? Because like we're still men. Like our pride and our ego, my ego is in the way of a lot of things.
Sure.
So it's like, damn, I have to be nice to this person that's not that nice. But now it's like, I've made a goal out of whenever I see someone that doesn't look like they want to be talked to, like I force them to talk to me. And they probably like walk away and they're like, damn, I don't like podcasts, because that's probably what I told them about.
Oh my God. You're like what are the people that knock on doors, 7-day Advent?
Jehovah's Witness.
You're like a Jehovah's Witness for
Yeah.
podcasting. You should have made a commercial. We should make the Anchor commercial, you talking about it.
That would be great.
Because we get paid for that. Okay. We've reached our limit on time. We have done it.
We rambled. I've been drinking Monsters thinking about this topic. So, because I think it's good. I think
it's
people
important.
need to know.
It's extremely important. If you haven't had a chance, or if you have questions about your community or anything in general, you can hit us up at ridetherebellion@gmail.com.
For sure.
We rarely say that. You can also follow us on all the socials, including Threads.
Yeah, including
at
Threads.
Ride the Rebellion. Not Twitter, though. At Ride the Rebellion.
No.
You can follow us on YouTube, which you may be watching this now, or listening to it through a podcast. If you'd like to watch a video version, you're always welcome to do so. And if you haven't joined the secret, not so secret T-shirt Facebook group, I highly suggest it, especially if you buy a shirt. Even though you don't have to. This will be a freebie. But it is nice if you're in that group because there's a lot of fun stuff that happens inside of there. That it's a community.
Yeah.
So you can come join it. The reason we have to keep it private so we don't get overwhelmed with bots. That's the game we're playing. Well, with that said, just remember what Dale Boyd says.
Your community is only as good as you are.
Oh, you're like an intellectual.
That was good.
On the way.